In the pre-dawn chill of June 16, 1976, the township of Soweto, just outside Johannesburg, hummed with an unusual energy. Streets that were typically quiet at such an early hour bustled with the sounds of footsteps, whispers, and the occasional murmur of excitement. Students, wearing the uniform of resistance, gathered with a shared purpose that transcended classrooms and textbooks. They had grown weary of an education system designed to oppress them, tired of the Afrikaans language forced upon them as the medium of instruction, a language of their oppressors. Among them was 13-year-old Thabo, a boy with bright eyes and a spirit unbowed by the harsh realities of apartheid. He walked hand in hand with his sister, Nomvula, who was just a year younger but shared his defiant heart. Their parents had whispered their fears the night before, but Thabo and Nomvula's resolve remained unshaken. As the sun began to rise, casting a warm glow over the township, the students formed a procession, singing freedom songs and carrying signs that proclaimed their right to an education in their own languages. They moved as one, a river of youthful determination flowing through the streets of Soweto. Their chants and songs grew louder, a symphony of resistance that echoed off the walls and into the hearts of those who heard. The march led them to Orlando West Secondary School, a gathering point for thousands of students from various schools. Thabo felt a surge of pride as he saw the sheer number of his peers, all united for the same cause. The mood was hopeful, almost festive, but beneath the surface lay an undercurrent of tension. The students knew their defiance was a direct challenge to the apartheid regime, and they understood the potential consequences. As the crowd swelled, they began their march towards the Orlando Stadium, their chosen destination. Along the way, they encountered the first signs of trouble. Lines of police officers in khaki uniforms, their faces stern, gripping batons and rifles with an unsettling ease. The students, undeterred, continued their march, their songs growing louder, their chants more fervent. Thabo felt a shiver of fear as the police formed a blockade ahead. The officers, carrying guns and shields, stood as a stark reminder of the government's ruthless grip on power. The children, armed only with their signs and their voices, pressed on. Without warning, the police ordered the students to disperse. The command was met with defiance. Thabo tightened his grip on Nomvula's hand. The air grew thick with anticipation, a pregnant pause before the storm. And then, the first shot rang out. Chaos erupted. The peaceful march transformed into a scene of terror as students scattered in all directions. Tear gas canisters hissed through the air, their acrid smoke stinging eyes and throats. Thabo, coughing and choking, tried to shield Nomvula from the gas. Panicked cries filled the air, mingling with the sounds of gunfire and the shouts of police officers. Thabo's eyes burned, and his vision blurred. He stumbled, pulling Nomvula along as they sought refuge. But there was no safe haven. Police officers advanced, their batons swinging mercilessly. Thabo saw students fall, their bodies crumpling to the ground under the brutal blows. Desperation clawed at him. He could hear Nomvula's frightened sobs, feel her small body trembling with fear. He led her into a narrow alley, hoping to escape the worst of the violence. But the police were relentless. One officer, a burly man with a cold, hard expression, cornered them. Thabo tried to shield Nomvula, but the officer's baton struck him across the back, sending him sprawling. Pain exploded through his body. He heard Nomvula scream, a sound that cut through him like a knife. The officer raised his baton again, and Thabo closed his eyes, bracing for the impact. But the blow never came. Instead, there was a shout, and the officer was pulled away. Thabo opened his eyes to see a group of older students, their faces set with grim determination, fighting back against the police. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they fought with the desperation of those who had nothing left to lose. Thabo struggled to his feet, grabbing Nomvula's hand once more. They ran, their hearts pounding, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Around them, the township was a war zone. Fires burned, and the sound of gunfire was unrelenting. The police showed no mercy, their brutality on full display. Hours later, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the devastation. Bodies lay strewn across the streets, the blood of innocents mingling with the dust. The smell of smoke and death lingered in the air. Thabo and Nomvula, exhausted and battered, found refuge in a neighbor's home. They huddled together, their bodies aching, their spirits bruised but not broken. They had witnessed the worst of humanity, the cruel face of an oppressive regime willing to kill children to maintain its power. Yet, in their hearts, a flame of resistance still burned. The events of that day, the sacrifices of their friends and peers, had only strengthened their resolve. They knew the road to freedom would be long and perilous, but they were willing to walk it, step by painful step. The Soweto Uprising had begun as a fight for educational rights, but it had ignited a broader struggle for freedom and justice. Thabo and Nomvula, like so many others, had seen the brutality of their oppressors, but they had also glimpsed the power of their own unity and courage. In the years to come, the memory of that day would fuel their determination, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable brutality, the human spirit could not be crushed. The fight for freedom was far from over, but Thabo and Nomvula were ready to face whatever came next, together, with the strength of a generation determined to change their world.